Immigration court lawyers slam Wild West atmosphere in El Paso. Judges at an immigration court in El Paso, Texas, are undermining due process, making inappropriate comments and fostering a culture. The administrative complaint, sent to the Justice Department on Wednesday and obtained by CNN, slams a number of allegedly recurring practices at the El Paso Service Processing Center Court, which hears cases of immigrants detained at several locations near the border. The complaint comes at a time of mounting criticism of the Justice Department-run courts that decide whether individual immigrants should be deported. And it comes as among the allegations. Judges at the El Paso Service Processing Center Court have notably. The complaint accuses judges in the court of making inappropriate comments that undermine. Rules limiting evidence that can be presented at this court strip away due process, the complaint says. One judge's stand, the Justice Department's Executive Office for Immigration Review, which oversees U.S. immigration courts, declined to comment on the allegations. Spokeswoman the allegations come amid mounting criticism of U.S. immigration courts. There are in the United States, and about presiding over them. Immigration judges, prosecutors in immigration courts are, but the overall administration of the courts is the Justice Department's responsibility. Both immigrant rights advocates and immigration hardliners agree the court system is struggling but they diverge widely in their proposals for fixing it. More than 850,000 cases are pending in U.S. immigration courts. And in a report, the Trump administration has moved to hire more judges and to pressure them to finish cases more quickly, accusing immigrants and the lawyers who represent them of gaming the system and overloading it with frivolous cases. President Donald Trump has also repeatedly. Advocates say the existing system denies due process and harms vulnerable people who have legitimate claims to remain in the United States but face an overwhelming number of obstacles to make their case. They've argued a major Executive Office for Immigration Review Director James McHenry said his department had increased its number of case completions for the third consecutive year. And he said that lawyers argue the El Paso Service Processing Center facility is both a window into wider problems of the immigration system and a particularly egregious example. Immigration. But one reason advocates focused this complaint on this El Paso court, the American Immigration Council Shepherd said, was that it had the lowest asylum grant rate in the nation, based on statistics compiled from Justice Department reports over a 5-year period. Those figures, from 2013-2017, show the percentage of cases granted in the El Paso court has fluctuated in recent years, decreasing slightly from 2014-2016 and increasing slightly from 2016-2017. But for years, After researching that question and outlining their findings in the complaint, with the help of court observers and lawyers who regularly practice in the court, now Shepherd says they're calling for the Justice Department to conduct its own investigation into the El Paso Service Processing Center Court and other courts with similar problems. An administrative complaint is a step in a formal grievance process used to bring issues to officials' attention, Shepherd said, but does not trigger legal proceedings. The complaint recommends a series of corrective measures, including providing more training on appropriate conduct for judges and requiring the Executive Office for Immigration Review to post publicly online any standing orders individual judges have issued. No matter how officials respond, Shepherd said she hopes the complaint will be a jumping-off point for further research into how the court's practices have affected people who were ordered deported there.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.